Whatnots Reactor Core number 113. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson to talk some more Yellowjackets. Melissa, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I think it's funny that I offered you a couple times when I could record, and you grabbed the first available one, and you showed up here in our chat call early. You are ready to talk Yellowjackets. You are so excited.
Fork and knife. Let's go. Let's eat. Let's eat.
Jackie. Let's eat Jackie.
Yes, we are here to talk more about Yellowjackets Season 2, particularly episodes 3 and 4, Digestif and Old Wounds. And yeah, that's exactly where we left off. The gang ate Jackie. So we are
Cue It's Always Sunny in
right
Philadelphia music and title card. The gang eats Jackie.
Exactly. So yeah, let's check in with you. How did you like these 2 episodes? What were your thoughts on these? Because we got, I almost started to feel like, well, we might not have super a lot to talk about. And then episode 4 hit, and there was a lot of little small things. I'm just like, there's so much. So what'd you think?
Interesting stuff is happening, like kind of reality bending stuff, which is not exactly the avenue I thought we might go into. This is a show that's young enough that it's still, us, the audience, are still trying to get a handle on what kind of supernatural, paranormal, sci-fi things are on the table here. Like, what's possible and what isn't. Or ghosts in play, aliens, time travel. Like, we've got like a big list of different types of weird, magical, and sci-fi aesthetics, and we're like, which ones are you playing with?
One by one, yeah.
Right.
yeah. I felt the same way. Especially episode 3 starts out with what seems to be some flashbacks, and then as we learned, they're not exactly flashbacks. I'll get to more of that in a sec here. But yeah, that kind of carries over into Thaisa and her sleepwalking and what's real and what's not. And even this idea of this darkness, this like unknown entity or darkness or force or whatever it may be, they kind of seem to think that sacrificing blood or getting close to death is a way to like reach that plane of existence or commune with it. And so, yeah, there is this like reality bending. What is really going on here? That I think is super, super interesting for sure. But yeah, I liked these a lot. Like I kind of alluded to, I thought episode 3 was maybe a little like, especially compared with like how much episode 2 got my mind going and just thinking about all the like thematic references and allusions to different literary stuff. I kind of felt episode 3 went a little light on that stuff, which is okay. But then, yeah, episode 4, I think, has a number of just like smaller. Wait, what is happening? What is this? That's new. Oh my God. Whoa. I had a lot of fun with these ones for sure. The first thing I want to bring up is Coach. Because
that's my first thing too.
Yes, that is, we kind of left off with the girls eating Jackie, and he was
girls
the
and
only,
Travis.
Yes.
All the kids.
Scott was the only one that didn't, and he was kind of horrified, and that's where episode 3 starts. So I'll toss it to you, because he's the one we also get these like reality bending, like glitch effect transitions that seem to be flashbacks but aren't. So what did you think of him?
In the lead up to the release of season 2, I read that there was an actor cast to play Coach's boyfriend, with the article saying like it is unclear if this is revealing that he has survived and this is the boyfriend he has now in like 2021, 22, whenever the modern day storyline takes place. Right. or if these are going to be like flashbacks or fantasies or dreams or something for his 90s boyfriend.
Yeah.
So we do see that appears to be flashbacks of him and his boyfriend back in the 90s and like the weeks leading up to this championship they were going to, where his boyfriend wants him to move in with him in the city, New York City, presumably. And he's like, I don't know. I want to see the girls through the rest of the tournament, like the rest of the season. I don't feel like I can leave them now. I don't want to be distracted from that. And his boyfriend kind of breaks up with him. Like, if you're not ready for this commitment, like, I don't know why we're still doing this.
Yeah.
And the final one of those scenes we get scattered throughout this episode. This is the most lost, like, structured episode with the flashbacks we've got.
Yeah, absolutely.
We cut back to him going to his boyfriend, and he's like, I thought your flight was today. I thought you were going to that championship. And he's like, no, I got up. I was going to go to the airport. And I'm like, what am I doing? This man you love is waiting for you here. So he's like, I didn't get on the plane. I came here instead. And then they see on the TV the news report of not the plane crash, but like the plane has gone missing. This flight was expected. It's these girls going to a soccer championship. They never arrived.
Right.
So you think, oh, he's been fantasizing about what if I did something different? What if I took a different path?
Been like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Then I wouldn't be stuck here with one leg in a frozen cabin. And this is all happening while the girls are trying to throw
hungry girls.
Right. So the girls are trying to throw Shauna a baby shower. Misty's gift is that she does a monologue from Steel Magnolias or Terms of Endearment or one of those.
It's Steel Magnolias, yeah.
And Travis is rolling his eyes like, oh, this is so embarrassing. So he goes to the other guy around. He's like, geez, coach, you get a load of this. And coach, he's like lying in bed in like the one little bedroom area in the cabin. Yeah. And he like kind of looks at Travis in this weird glazed way. And he's just like, he seems so out of it. Whereas we hadn't been seen
disassociated, right?
Yeah. It's a strange enough reaction that I'm like, did he go somewhere? Like, is this more than just like a fantasy or a dream? He doesn't exactly seem like he just woke up. Like, there's something about his reaction that is so strange to me.
Which is interesting because I feel like that is something you would like. It's such a traumatic event to witness or to be a part of, right? That for him to disassociate makes sense and to just kind of be in shock, right, of what happened. Mm-hmm. But also it's so weird compared to everything else. Like, this is one of the more tame things of like, coach is disassociating, whereas like Ty is sleepwalking and has some kind of alter ego. There's maybe witchcraft involved, maybe alternate dimension. Who knows what's happening? And it's just coach is being weird.
Yeah,
but that's the thing, because everything else is so heightened. You're almost like, I wonder if there is something more to that.
Yes. Did he truly get a peek into like another universe? Is he really in some sort of not entirely just psychological, but supernatural trance state right now?
Yeah. I mean, there was another scene when he walks in the cabin and he like envisions the girls like starting to foam at the mouth and wanting to eat him. He's kind of starting to be like, well, I'm the lame duck here, right? Like he's like, I think in back of his mind, he's trying to come to terms with his fate, or what he thinks his fate will be. We're still not sure exactly what his fate is. Somehow he might live. Who knows? But I think the common thought right now is that he's the weakest link next. So scary stuff there, though.
Yeah. But I did appreciate getting that little look at his private life, especially when one of the main facets of this character is that he's gay, and there is not a single adult man around for him to have a romantic or any sort of a bond with.
Yeah, indeed. I want to talk about Ty and the things that happen to and around Ty in these episodes here. Because in episode 3, she's continuing to sleepwalk, but Van kind of makes the decision not to like stop her, but to then follow her and ask like, hey, can I come with you when you sleepwalk? And sleepwalking Ty is like, yes, come. And what Van discovers is that she's basically walking directly to these trees with these symbols on them. And at that point, Van kind of wakes her up and is like, yo, what the hell is going on here? You walked straight here. Like, how did you know this was here? And she's trying to convince Ty to talk to Lottie and be like, we need to figure this out because something is happening. And as we kind of know, Ty doesn't, she's a person that really does not want to confront the supernatural or that thing, like otherworldly things might exist. Right. She's just absolutely walled it off and just been like, no, absolutely not. And eventually we find out in episode 4 that Van has now mapped out where all of these trees are, and they make the symbol, like this weird, funky symbol that we still don't know what it is. And I think that is fascinating, that it is almost like a bigger seance. Like it is not just the cabin that they are in or the little small surrounding area, but it is just like this, the entire woods that they're in. There's something up with them. Something has happened there or is happening. And I thought that was fascinating. I was like, oh, they make the symbol. Oh my God, here we go. Great stuff. Good. But I did to give a little bit of spoilers ahead for something that happens down the road. There was still one spot that they hadn't gone to yet. And Van was like, there should be a tree right here at this spot. And they go to where that tree should be, and they don't find a tree. Instead, they find Javi.
Yes.
Which is wild. He's still alive.
Yeah, and
Javi's out there. Oh my God.
Right. Out there with the truth, just like X-Files told us.
Yeah.
It's so strange. Well, they also find one of those weird warm spots where the snow is melted. And they find him there, and he's like running. He's like running from them, not towards them, when it seems like he would definitely know, like, oh, those are the girls from the plane crash. I should approach them. It seems like
he was kind of spying on them or was doing something in the area, and they happened to be in the area, and he was not expecting them to be there. And so, at the sight of them, he dashes. He's like, I am gone. Because last we saw, they were all out to eat him, right? on Doom's
He's still afraid of that.
Like the last thing we saw of him was Shauna looking at him, and in this like weird demonic voice says, "Run!" And he's just like, "Oh no, I am gone."
Wow, yeah.
But
who knows what his I was saying, who knows what his state of mind is? Because we don't get any. We don't get any time with him. He just sort of like, they come across him. They're like, whoa, Javi. And they take him back to the cabin. Everyone's like, wow, it's really you. And he hugs Travis, or Travis hugs him. He doesn't like say anything. He doesn't explain anything. The girl's like, well, how are you still alive? And no answers. We don't know. Is he still able to speak? Is he catatonic with trauma? We don't know the current state of Javi. We don't know if the same Javi has returned than was the one that left.
Yes. That is exactly what I'm thinking is up here. Because when we see Travis get killed at the start of season 1, he leaves behind, we learn that he left behind a note for Nat that said, Nat was right. And this is, I think, what Nat was right about. Nat has said Javi is dead. He's like, this is so whoever this is that came back to the cabin, I don't think this is Javi. It's not the Javi we knew, which we didn't really know terribly well to begin with, to be honest. But
yeah,
still, like with a series that may potentially include some like possession of some kind, some demonic possession or alter egos or alternate dimensions. Yeah, that's it. We're not sure exactly yet. But we shall see.
What's puzzling is that, so if this is not the same Javi that returned than the one that disappeared at Doom Coming, why is Travis telling Natalie as he dies, you were right? Is this like, what has happened to this Javi in the meantime? Is this why is that the final beat in the story happening 20 years in the future and not still within their time there in the woods? Does this Javi die or run off in another way? You know, does he come back? Is this person they still believe to be Javi still out there? There's so much information we're missing.
Yeah. It could be anything like that. It could be somehow that maybe some kind of dark spirit was trapped there in those woods and was looking for a way to escape, and somehow through possession or something like that, maybe it's able to. And I mean, that is the thing, right? When you lose a sibling for that many months out in the wilderness, you resort to cannibalism, all that stuff, like to get him back, you kind of have to be in denial for a little bit, I think. I don't know, but like just to be like, no, he's back. This is him. You lied, Nat. Like, this is like, what are you talking about? He's right here. He's physically right here. And so I think part of that denial is not really wanting to look at the potential weird things he could do down the road, or creepy things down the road. Who knows? But yeah, they rediscovered Javi. Good Lord.
I also think it's funny that Thaisa's her sleepwalking, these disassociative events, how she goes and finds the trees. They're like, you're part of this. You're part of like the same magic that Lottie has, her same spiritual connection to the woods. Of the Thaisa wants no part of this. She doesn't believe in it. She hates it, but she's still inextricably personally linked to everything in a way that none of the other survivors are.
Yeah. It's interesting for sure. I like that in the modern day times, we then get to see Ty going to the house of the detective to steal the information on Vivian and find out where she is. We get this great scene of the like mirror version of Ty basically mouthing the words "go" to her, and then doing this thing on her face that is, it's supposed to resemble the mask that Van and her wore on Doom's Coming, but also, like we talked about last time, it's the eye in the triangle of the like third eye, all-seeing eye can refer to all of this. It's just another one of those there you go, interesting. But yeah, she then goes to she in like I don't think she wants to go to Van either, is the thing. It's the like sleepwalking alternate identity that wants to, because she wakes up like halfway in her trip and is just like, fuck, like I didn't want to do this, but I'm already halfway there. I might as well go. So we do get to see the adult version of Van running a little small video store, I think out in like Ohio. I don't remember exactly where, but she's traveling across the country.
If there was like a sign or a license plate or something, I missed it. I just know that the truck driver who picks up Ty says, "Oh, don't worry, I voted for you," indicating that they might still be somewhere within New Jersey, Just
Or
like more
at
rural
least
New
on
Jersey.
like a major truck line that
Yeah, maybe.
ends
Yeah.
because they would go back and forth and
Yeah. I just
stuff like
feel like
that.
they must still be within or close to Jersey, because the idea of her being like way out somewhere and meeting a truck driver from Jersey seems very slim.
Yeah, yeah. Indeed. I yeah, I so I one of the words I've been mentioning this episode is this idea of like alternate dimension stuff, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm not completely sold on yet. I think this is one of the more recent theories popping up out there of like maybe there
Mm-hmm.
is some kind of like mirror world, or there's like doppelgangers somehow, like dark versions of these characters. And some of the ways we see this is not only Ty's like alter ego, this like mirror self, but even the symbol that they have, right?
Mm.
We've discussed how it almost looks like a human being hung upside down,
Yeah.
and like that slash through them like means they're dead or they've been gutted. But if that slash is like a horizon line, it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like someone rising up out of
Yeah.
the water or out of the earth or just from another plane of existence, right? So that's a potential theory there. And then this pen that Ty finds could easily, absolutely be a red herring, but it's one of those nudie pens that it's the
Yes.
like we talked about these pens on a podcast
Yeah.
like 6 months ago.
Yes.
But yeah, it looks like a woman in a bathing suit when it's held the right way, but when you flip it upside down, the ink that has the like bathing suit disappears, and it's this nude woman.
Mm-hmm.
Ty is a lesbian. She could absolutely just be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, I like hot women. This is a fun pen.
Mm-hmm.
Why
Right.
not?"
I know I am going to my ex-girlfriends. I will bring this to her as like a cheeky peace offering.
Right. Yes. Could be
Yeah.
something like that. Could absolutely be nothing at all. But this idea of turning it upside down and it's now something else is a
Yeah.
theme that is starting to show up a little bit more here, which I find fascinating. But that's kind of all I have to say on Ty so far.
Mm-hmm.
Not much more
I
happening in
did.
there. I'm sure we'll get more of her and Van
I
down the road.
I know surely next episode we're going to get a better look at Van's little video rental store. I'm sure there's
Oh, yeah.
Easter eggs in there. I don't know if they're all like meaningful plot Easter eggs, but one of the movies on like the letterboard behind her is Bound, the Wachowskis' first film, which I know is a queer romance. So there's at least something that seems like
It's a Wonderful Life poster. This idea of like you getting to see this life without you,
Yeah.
just this alternate look at reality, right? There is some stuff in there, but I'm sure there's a lot more. Let's go to Misty and Walter. Walter's his name, right?
I think so. Yeah. I love
What do you
those
think
two.
of
I think
Walter?
that's he's very fun. At this point, I do take him on face value with what he says.
Okay.
I think like
Let me
initially
ask you this.
you're suspicious
Why?
of Walter. I feel like the game of Walter is not, is he who he says he is? There's not like there's not a twist of Walter. The twist is going to be what happens to Walter, because we've got these two parallel timelines of Misty getting a really close friend back in the 90s and Misty getting a potential boyfriend now. And I'm wondering if both of those relationships are just going to come to absolute disaster, or maybe her friend in the 90s. I said like the second her and Misty became friends in episode 1 of the season,
Something
I'm like, this
happens
girl
to
must
her.
be dead. This
Yeah.
seems like doom. Maybe she loses that girl and it has taught her a lesson, and we see that she is not going to lose Walter. Like maybe she'll do something extremely drastic to keep Walter.
Yeah, it seems like especially with some of the things Walter is saying. It's like, here's the thing. I'm still not convinced Walter is who he says he is. Or maybe he is, but is still just like genuinely like a shady person, right? Because we find out that he's a multi-millionaire because he was walking by some construction site, got hit in the head with something that fell. He sued for millions. And that's what he has now. But he's also like he self-admittedly makes a reference to it, like he's a Moriarty looking for his Sherlock. But he is really smart. He's like, I can see him manipulating some stuff like that to get money like that. But that being said, he's also saying and doing some things that I think really, really remind Misty of Crystal, of her friend back in the day, the love of musicals. And it just like, it's these odd, like this is a show that makes you question everything. And so it's just like, why do you have these tape cassettes of musicals? One, tape cassettes, all right, that fits in with the persona that you've been showing so far. You're this like weird kind of eccentric person who, of course, you would only have, you know, these 8-track tapes. But musicals, that's like hitting the nail on the head there. And so I think, I think essentially what happened is I think Misty ends up betraying Crystal at some point, and she feels bad about it. I think she feels like she's a bad person or a terrible friend. And so when you get him flattering her of like, you know, you're a good person, you know, you're a good friend, she gets this like thanks, like nobody says that about me, like nobody realizes that that's who I truly am, right? And so I think she's kind of falling for it. And I think there's like she might be on the opposite end of that he betrays her somehow. But I don't know. But I love their dynamic. I liked that scene of them side by side where they're just the exact same person. That was fantastic.
Right, which makes me wonder, like, if we see him in a situation where he is not around Misty, she is not watching him, and they are that similar, that makes me believe a lot of what he's saying if he is still acting that way, not under observation.
Integrity.
Right? He has integrity.
Man, I like their dynamic a lot. I think it's so much fun to see those two just eat the scenery up. It's just it's good. But for Misty, so we know that they are on the hunt for Lottie and her cult, who they jokingly at one point call the flying purple people eaters, which is really funny considering the cannibalism aspect. But in the past, when they are when they do the baby shower for Shauna, Misty's gift to Shauna is this monologue from Steel Magnolias, which I admittedly have not seen. Coincidentally, Melissa, you and I did a podcast on some Flintstones comics from 2016. Fantastic stuff. Go read them. They're incredible. We'll have a podcast up on them very soon on the Whatnots review show. So you can keep your eyes tuned right here to our YouTube page as well. But in those comics, there is a spoof on Steel Magnolias in that.
They go see Shale Magnolias. So it is funny that we are talking about this movie twice in one day.
Yeah.
That neither of us have seen. We only recognize it in reference form.
So just on some quick, like, let me look at the little Wikipedia page, because what is this monologue exactly? It does seem to have some thematic ties about a woman losing someone that's close to her and how she's dealing with that after they just lost Jackie to their stomachs, right? And yeah.
There's a little bit of Jackie in all of us now.
Exactly. So apparently, the story of Steel Magnolias is about a group of women coping with the loss of one of their own. And coincidentally, one of the characters gives birth at the end of this movie, and she gives birth on Easter weekend, the same weekend that this episode aired. Which is kind of wild. That they could have either aired the show earlier so that when Shauna gives birth, it's on Easter weekend. Anyways, but yeah, I just thought that was an interesting coincidence. But yeah, I said Misty and Crystal are becoming fast friends. Crystal is the one in the theater department. Then we also mentioned the plays that she likes. She likes the musicals. So I'm wondering if he knows something about what happened back, or he's already pieced it together and hasn't told them, and is like just working to confirm it on his own somehow, some way. Or like I've theorized, like we haven't seen any characters yet that are related, like is not a like parental unit, but like is there a brother or a sister that is like a year or two older or a year or two younger that would kind of, at least in the adult world, kind of be in that same group here. He could potentially be that. Like, is he adopted? Was Crystal adopted? I don't know. Those are a little more out there stuff, but it seems to imply that he knows something potentially.
Can you remind me, these new characters I recognize on site, I don't have all their names straight yet. Who's dark hair, yellow jacket, and who's her friend with the little mouse?
I think the girl with the mouse is Aquila. I think I have it in my notes here. I think that's her.
That sounds familiar.
name.
I thought we had an Aquila in here. Yes.
I think I mentioned it last time we talked about them, what their names were. But yeah, then it's Crystal, who's the darker skinned girl who's in the theater department, who's now friends with Misty, and then Mari, which she seems to really, really be taking to Lottie.
Yes.
And kind of instigating some of the tension now in this season. People are starting to theorize that she is Pit Girl. She's the one that gets eaten at the very start of season 1.
So speaking of making friends, do you think there's any significance to the mouse?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that I think it will cause problems. I think she's gonna want to keep this mouse alive. It's too small to eat and be any kind of meaningful food, right? But it's a small pet. Why not keep this pet alive and find some fun and enjoyment when they have literally nothing to do but stay warm and try and find food, right? But if she's then giving food to this mouse, that can be a problem of like, why are you giving food to this when we are starving? And that could be something that's like, that's why you gotta go. We're gonna make you food instead. Yeah,
it could be that. It could be that she's not like, hey, look, Maury, I found a mouse. Cool. Like, she puts it in her pocket. She keeps it a little secret. So I wonder if she's going to continue to keep it a secret just because there's no like new information to these girls. Everything is sort of stagnated and slowed to a crawl in their world. Now they have Javi back. That's very big news. Soon they'll have a baby they have to deal with. There's stuff happening, but like maybe she wants us to just like, this is a treat for me. This is the one thing that I have that nobody else here has in this world where we like sleep in one little room together. She's like, this is my mouse. And maybe just the fact that she has any secret at all from the rest of the girls, even if it is so trivial like this, is going to cause some sort of big dividing line.
Because they have had some scenes where they're like, hey, no more secrets, right? Shauna is pregnant. Like, this is something that will affect us all. And then, they could decide like, hey, if she did, like, why not? It gives us something to do. It gives us something to care for and look after that can kind of get our minds off of other things, right? It might turn out to be a good thing. Who knows? The other way I can see it playing out is where has this mouse been? It's cold outside. The mouse is not living outside. Where did this mouse come from? Is there another place in this house? Like, is there some kind of like secret underground like storehouse that they didn't realize was there, that they just don't know about yet? Could it be hiding somehow in a new part of the house that they haven't discovered yet?
I like that idea. I always wish for more scenes in this show where they really take stock of what is available to them back in the 90s. Like, I kind of just want there's no point. No character at this point would tell this to another character. But as an audience member, I wish I had like, okay, so we have 3 rooms and we have these furniture pieces and these supplies. Like, I just kind of want a list of like what
Maps
is in play here.
Diagrams and all that stuff. Yeah. But I think kind of leads me to Lottie. Let's talk a little bit about Lottie here, because in modern day times, we see her dealing with the return of her visions, and it has spooked her. It has, she immediately goes to a therapist or a psychologist and is like, hey, I need more medicine. It's not the one she normally sees, which was, I don't know if that has any kind of significance, or at least yet.
Maybe this is just a way to give you exposition, because they're like, why would she say these things to the same doctor she's always been with? Let's have a new doctor is there suddenly while the other one's on sabbatical, just so she is like an audience surrogate, somebody to explain things to. I don't know.
Yeah, could be something exactly like that. But she's scared of these visions returning because apparently when those were in full swing, bad things happened. I think we can tell by Shauna opening up to her daughter that they are ashamed of what they do, and we'll get back to all of that in a sec here. But like, they're ashamed of what they do, and when Shauna mentions it, she says they did. Like, there is this disassociation of like, it wasn't me who did those things. Again, with the like dual personalities, maybe alternates. Who knows? But I think Lottie is kind of struggling with the same thing. In the 90s, she is still doing like, she gathered up all those birds that appeared and hit the cabin when the blood dripped on the blanket that had this symbol on it, which again implies that there is like, if you spill blood, like the forest will take care of you. And why they start to make sacrifices and sacrifice the bear heart, and she cuts her hand open and all of that stuff. But like, she has this vision where, to give a little bit of context, Mari instigates a contest between Nat and Lottie to see who can go out and find food. Nat has at least recently generally been unsuccessful in finding new food. It's the winter. They've killed what they could so far. Maybe the animals moved on. Lottie seems to be able to be in tune with the forest and provide some things. So they're just like, why don't they have a contest and see who can get the most food? While she's out on this contest, she makes a blood sacrifice to be like, hey, what can you, like, she almost doesn't. The sacrifice she makes, like before she makes it, she has this moment of, fuck me, I'm really gonna have to do this. Almost like she is reluctant to do, like she knows she has a connection, but recognizes the darkness involved in it, and is like, I don't want to mess with this more than I have to, which is an interesting thing. But she has this vision, and this is another moment that is very lost, like in the sense that the plane is back. How did this plane get back? It's the same plane that Laura Lee died in. The thing exploded over the lake. How is it here in the snow? And then there's like this hatch that opens up in the back of the plane, and it's like the hatch lost. She climbs down and has this vision. Listen, what did you think of the vision that she was having here?
This is very interesting. I know there's got to be like a dozen theories about what this could possibly mean, where she manifests herself back into a mall. Like, we don't know if this is something that literally happened, if she is putting herself back into a memory, or this is a fantasy. None of those girls didn't all go to the mall together like that once. But like, Laura Lee is back. And I like that Laura Lee and Lottie had a connection that Lottie has never let go of. Like, Laura Lee really opened something up in her. She sees Laura Lee as this like guiding sort of mystical force now. And I really enjoyed that character.
Her. Like, she went to her for spiritual guidance, right?
Yeah. So I'm happy that that's a tie that the show keeps, that they put a lot of significance on what that would mean to Lottie. And I loved Laura Lee. I was happy to see that actress back in the role, even just a little bit. It is puzzling. Yeah, why she envisions this mall, this world of creature comforts of casual sisterhood, where we all go out to the food court together because we want to, and not because we have all been stuck together through any circumstances.
Yeah.
But it's very weird that she walks in and it's normal. Like, everybody treats her like, hey, Lottie, thanks for sitting down with us here at the food court. And Laura Lee is like, you need to go back. You are too cold. You will die.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when Jackie had her visions, she also saw Laura Lee in that. But everyone was also with her in that, too. So it's not necessarily a look at like who died. It might be of like who lived, right? Like who followed the spiritual guidance and stuff. Like, I'm not sure who all, I don't remember who all is in that group at the table there. It might be something like that. But yeah, it is this weird thing where she is trying to get to this altered state of existence, or this other plane, or commune with this dark spirit entity thing, right? And the spirit is basically like, all right, that's enough. You're gonna die if you stay here. Get out. And that's, when they kick her out, and eventually they go and find her and save her, because she is also bleeding out and she's suffering from frostbite. When she stepped into that hot bath, it looked like her toes were all purple and stuff like that. So like she had a near death experience to be able to reach this plane. But in her vision in season 1, with like that long like hallway and the stairs and all that stuff, she's in some kind of what appears to be like an underground bunker, right? This like long concrete hallway. It seems wet, like there's some leaky pipes or some steam that's producing condensation or some heat source. In this one, she finds the hatch that leads her down below into this thing. This is what I'm starting to wonder, if there is another location that these girls can potentially survive in, or at least makes it more survivable than just this rickety old cabin, right? And especially with these trees that we're seeing, where the snow is melting around them. Like, is there some kind of cave system in the mountains is there like some kind of like natural hot springs kind of thing going on? Maybe it's just that, right? It's not actually like there's an underground hatch and something. It might just be natural hot springs, right? If they are up in that Pacific Northwest, like almost in Canada, like I'm wondering if like, I mean, I guess I don't know my geography super well, but what if that like in this weird supernatural space there is some kind of like volcanic space happening? What if there's a volcano? Who knows? But it's not, not that we'd get in explosion or an eruption of that, but enough to like heat up some of these like underground little rivers and lakes and stuff like that. Something like that could be interesting and could also explain like how a mouse would know where to go to survive and do all of that stuff. Who knows?
I really like a hot spring as the answer for those weird warm patches. Like to be honest, I would more
kind of prefer that than it's an underground bunker.
Yeah, like I do want there to be more grounded. Like we're introducing so many fantastical things with like possible looks in other dimensions and these visions and these disassociating events. Not that doesn't really happen to people, but Ty truly seems to have something spooky happening to her. Like there's so much magic and mysticism. I do want one answer to just be hot springs, just be something natural, some sort of a natural rare event that is happening.
Yeah, indeed. So I have one more kind of main thing I want to talk about, and then just like two little smaller things I'll mention. And then
I want to say real quickly, the branching off of Lottie's storyline, when Natalie finds that moose like frozen into the water and they all struggle to get the moose out, that is a heartbreaking scene because of course it's a moose. It is it's a frozen moose. You're like 8 starved teenagers. Of course you can't pull it out, but of course you have to try.
Yeah,
it's awful.
I was scared that like them hacking away at the ice would cause more cracks, and we'd get one of those moments where like someone falls in, which I guess Nat like in her desperation like puts her face in the water to like reach down in, but yeah, man, that it's heartbreaking to just see all of that food just sinking away.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, people are wondering about the significance of the moose because when Nat took Jackie's body back to the plane, that moose appeared and then just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And so here's this moose then now caught in the middle of the water to do this thing. Like I don't want to say the moose isn't real because obviously there was enough other people around there to be like, oh yes, there is a moose that is trapped in the water here, and they're trying to pick it out. But just like what is the kind of significance of this moose? Is it like a forest spirit that is also looking after them or leading them somewhere? Do they need to, is it like, was it trying to say, look in the water? You need to like go in the water somehow to reach this hot spring that if you go on there's like an underground cave. Again, who knows what. But yeah, it's just a heartbreaking scene. You're right. Yeah. Good stuff.
What if the girls go to travel somewhere else that is difficult to traverse and they have to leave Coach behind? What if they do find a way into some underground cave, but it's like real tight passage? You can get in there, but you kind of have to crawl. What if they have to go someplace that he literally cannot follow them? And they're just like, bye, Coach. We're going someplace warm. Good luck, Coach.
Who knows? Who knows what happens? So the next big thing that I kind of want to talk about is this idea. We see this is back with Lottie after she's gone to her psychologist or therapist, and now she's looking at these affirmations in her desk, and she pulls out the Queen of Hearts, and I's are crossed out on the
Yes.
Queen of Hearts here. People have been trying to look into the significance of this, the Queen of Hearts. We also, Lottie has been called the Antler Queen. But then there also, people have noted that they do have a deck of cards in the cabin with them. I think at one point someone did say the queens were missing from the deck. I could be wrong about that, so don't quote me on it. But they've now kind of likened to this idea of like maybe whoever pulls the queen is the next one to die, or whoever pulls the queen is the one that gets to pick who the next. So the Antler Queen changes like from person to person. It's not necessarily Lottie in all of this here, but it seems to be. Like, I haven't decided yet if, like, is she actually seeing that card there when she goes through this stuff? Because it has that, like, weird thing of, like, her, like, trying to, like, it might be one of her visions. But again, how real are those visions? When she's in her session, she mentions the visions aren't real. When she's addressing all of her followers, she mentions, "Hey, there is this other self of you, and like that version of you is not real." Right? Again, going back to there's two versions of things here. But so how real is this card that she's seeing? Apparently the card is in one of the promotional posters. It's like hidden in one of the posters in there. So I think this card has significance that we haven't learned yet. And I think that's an interesting way for them to figure out who is next on the menu, right? Of just, it's a game of chance. It's not necessarily we don't like you, so we're gonna eat you, or coach, you don't have a leg, so we're gonna eat you, right? You're the weakest link. It's a game of chance, and they just have to deal with that. But still, like, what ways can they manipulate that? Which I thought was an interesting thing to bring into all of that. I mentioned we talk a little bit more about Shauna opening up to her daughter. Did you want to mention that?
Yeah, I just think that's really interesting that she has realized like what Callie has been going through to some regard. She is absolutely aware that Callie is suspicious of her. And I think she's like, it's time for me to confess. She's like, yes, I killed Adam Martin. I killed him because I thought he was a blackmailer. He wasn't a blackmailer. That was your dad, actually. But your dad was doing it for good reasons. Like, she thinks, I'm just going to be honest with you. You know, she's like college age. Like, she is an adult, a young adult. So her mom's like, we're just going to be honest with you. And I like that Jeff is like, no, I wanted to keep her innocent of this. I wanted to keep her free of this.
You've made her an accomplice.
Yeah. Like, legally, she isn't an accomplice. Yeah. But also, she was always suspicious of Shauna. I don't think she was ever suspicious of Jeff. Right. Like, it is only Shauna telling her, oh, yeah, and your dad was the one blackmailing everybody. That is the first dispersion I think Callie's had to Jeff, besides, oh, my dad's a square. He tells lame jokes. Oh, we don't really connect.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen Shauna kind of get excited and go into this mode, like this badass mode when things kind of get exciting, right? When they get exhilarating. And I'm wondering if this is not the flip side of that coin, but the more subtle side of that coin. Because I don't necessarily think this was an empathetic move on her part to be like, I want to connect with my daughter and understand her. And like, I think this is her scheming. I think this is her conniving. I think this is her like, I need her to be on my side somehow and keep her close. I need to bring her into the inner circle so she thinks I trust her, even though I don't. And you know, I've heard people talking out there like somehow I wonder if she eventually pins all of this on Jeff, because he's just kind of a schmuck. And there is the scene where he approaches the cop at the gym and tries to do this like big macho man thing, and he's just I don't think he can pull it off. And I think he's trying to do good, but is not. Like, I think things are good. I think things fall apart when he tries to do good things, which is, I think, also why he tried to keep his daughter out of it, which, again, probably the good thing to do in that scenario. But I think Shauna is trying to manipulate things to, again, keep everyone safe. That if I can shut my daughter up somehow and just let her in just on the tiniest bit of we did things we're ashamed of. Like, I think even just at the mention of that, like her daughter is just like, my mom never speaks about this. Like something is up here. So yeah, I don't know, but I think this will be interesting to see the way it all plays out down the road here.
They are making this storyline a lot more interesting to me than it was in season 1. I do like how much time we spent with Callie as this like outside observer, as the only other young adult who is not in the 90s. She's the only person in her age group in this timeline, which I think is a nice balancing point to the 90s timeline. It is going to be interesting to see which one of them gets the upper hand. Maybe there is some sort of just pure youthful fire in Callie that is going to give her the upper hand over Shauna at some point. I think one of the best bits between the two of them, like in the storyline in season 1, is when Callie can tell her mom is cheating and wants to go to her dad about it, and Shauna's like, "All right, you can do that, but then this house is going to turn into a nightmare. We're going to absolutely freeze each other out. You have to live with that. We're going to get divorced. We're going to spend your college money on the divorce. Like, if you want all of that, go ahead. Go ahead, tell your dad."
Yeah, she's just like, you're not thinking about this like 10 steps ahead. I am.
Yeah, and I wonder if maybe now Callie's smart. Like, maybe she'll learn the lesson and think 12 steps ahead now.
Yeah, who knows? Last two small things I want to mention. One goes back to the card. There is this repeated theme of a new queen. Lottie has the vision about all of her bees dying.
Oh, yes.
That day before, she explains, I think, to Nat that, like, hey, when a new queen is born, that one kills all the other potential queens or something like that. So again, it just goes back to this, like, someone new drawing the Queen of Hearts here. And I guess also with Lottie sacrificing the bear heart at some point. We still don't know exactly when that sacrifice takes place in the timeline of when that is happening. But there's just some good thematic mysteries happening here that I like a lot. And then last but not least, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but in episode 4, the opening credits, the theme song was a different version. Yeah, we got some new vocals on that, which I have to be on, or at least from that first listen, I think I kind of liked it better than the original version. It feels fuller. It feels like that, like there are more layers to it. But again, that also leans back to this like dual layered ideology thing. There is the like haunting version of the theme song playing in Lottie's vision at the mall.
Oh yeah, yes.
So just I think there is significance to that. That there is some kind of thematic theme going on here. But that's it. That's all I have to say.
I like them playing with that. I like the Alanis Morissette version of the opening credits. I know Florence and the Machine did a or maybe just Florence Welch on her own. Don't know if the whole machine was involved. Did a cover of No Doubt's Just a Girl for this season that's going to show up at some point. I've listened to it. It's already out. It is a very good cover. It is very effective. I can't wait to see how that shows up. But yeah, I like the little addition to the theme with a 90s star. Very appropriate.
Yeah, absolutely good stuff. Yeah, I hope they keep. I kind of like that when they do like different variations on a theme, right? Different variations of the theme song to represent things happening in the show itself. I think a great example of this recently was Star Wars Andor. The theme in that slightly changes from episode to episode, from like arc to arc in that, and at the end it is. I don't really want to say it's a crescendo, but it all kind of comes together in an interesting way there as things in that show build up to the finale, right?
Okay.
So
I haven't seen Andor. I thought you were going to talk about the changing theme songs in The Leftovers. Not just how they had a different one for season 2 than in season 1, but then like if there's an episode where there's an episode where they are making allusion to the 80s sitcom Perfect Strangers, they will just play the Perfect Strangers theme over the regular Leftovers opening credits.
Another example we could go to is Fringe. Right, where they do the multiple timelines, and they do the different versions of the theme song depending on what timeline they're in. That's a blast. So yeah, that's all I have to say on 3 and 4 of Yellowjackets season 2. Do you have any other kind of final thoughts to wrap things up here?
I look forward to next week when I'm sure we get to spend more time with Adult Van. Really, I love Lauren Ambrose. Look forward to seeing more of her and to see why they're bringing in Adult Van. How long she's going to stick around, what she's going to bring to the table here in this timeline.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I guess that will wrap things up for our reaction this week. We will be back in 2 weeks to cover episodes 5 and 6. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, in the meantime, we will also be finishing up our coverage on The Mandalorian. That's both myself and Ignacio doing that one. So get excited for all of that. But Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, for more 90s vibes.
There you go. If you guys want to follow me, I'm at Kyle Springer. And if you would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnots, we are at The Whatnots on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a bunch. We got some more videos. If you are watching this on YouTube, I'll have them right over there on that side of the screen. Yeah, this has been number 113 of the Whatnots Reactor Core. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.